Larry from my office, OT, also known as OT, he does Office Talk. He wants to start a segment, which we're airing this week for the first time. His office picks. It's to go hand to hand with your DFS suggestions. It's his just straight up betting lines. He is high on the Redskins to cover their 3.5 points at LA this week. He thinks, he's hoping that everybody is betting on Jared Goff to do what he did last week and the Rams D to do what they did last week.
They'd be fools.
Yeah, exactly. That's the Skins was one of his 5 locks of the week that he's putting big money on. But that's the thing. A lot of the public, I'm sure they're going to see what the Rams did last week against, hands down, the worst team in the NFL. I think a lot of people think that the Jets are the worst team in the NFL. If the Colts don't have Andrew Luck, they are the worst team in the NFL.
Their roster without Andrew Luck is one of the worst rosters in NFL history. Yeah. There's no doubt. Look at their defensive depth chart, and especially with Vontae Davis injured. Look at all the names there and name 3 that you know of off the top of your head.
I can't do it. I literally can't do it. And I'm not even ashamed of that, because I know if I looked at their depth chart, I would say, no, you know what? I shouldn't have known any of these people. We're gonna get to DFS in a little bit, and one team that everybody needs to target is the Colts. Yes. If there's a somewhat decent, I'd play Blake Bortles, freaking Blake Wardles. Wardle means worst of all time. LES Wardles. I'd play him versus the Colts. Yep. That's how bad they are. 100%.
I saw Blake Bortles in an interview said that he lost electricity. He's been without electricity since Hurricane Irma, and he said it was awful. Yesterday I played darts with myself for an hour and a half, and Matt Miller, who's like a Twitter scout, quoted the tweet and said, "That poor wall." And I just was dying.
That's pretty damn good. There's
awesome. One thing I really want to talk about, and it's something that's been on my mind for a while.
All right, hit me with it.
Let's talk about, oh my gosh, Deshaun Watson just got laid out. Hang on. Ooh. Deshaun Watson's dead.
Uh-oh. I'm not watching, so this is on you.
He just got up, but he just got decked. I want to talk about offensive lines.
Yes.
I want to talk about, I feel like for the last 10 years, offensive lines, they've been underrated massively. Offensive lines are arguably the second most important part of a team opposite the quarterback.
Yeah.
You cannot win the Super Bowl with a bad offensive line. And if you don't have an offensive line, you're fucked. Because with the style of playoff football, you have to be able to protect your quarterback and you have to be able to run the ball. Yep. Especially if you're a road team in the playoffs. You got to keep the ball out of the opponent's hands. You got to just suck the life out of the stadium.
Yeah.
And I just hate to see these teams, the Seahawks. Hang on, I got to think of this. The Seahawks, teams that built heavy on defense. The Giants. The Giants were a perfect example of that on Sunday night.
Yep.
They can't protect Eli, and they make Eli look psycho out there. Eli was throwing to ghosts. And I hate to say it this early, but the Seahawks won't make it to the Super Bowl. They have the best defense in the league. They're better than Denver.
I agree.
And they won't make it to the Super Bowl because Russell Wilson's out there running for his life. It's so awful for front offices to ignore building the offensive line. Andrew Luck's career is in jeopardy. And I say it's in jeopardy because he's becoming injury prone because he's taken so many hits.
Yeah, that's so OT when I was talking to him today, and he said even if Andrew Luck is good to go by like week 4, he wouldn't. If he was the coach / GM, he wouldn't play him until they got an offensive line in front of him. Because the Colts have no line at all. And a lot of teams have very subpar offensive lines from what you've seen in the past. But if you look at the Colts line, it's terrible. It's scary. It's honestly
put him on the IR.
Terrifying. Yeah.
Put Luck on the IR. This season's a wash. Your team can't do shit.
Exactly.
You better protect your quarterback. Same for the Giants have to make a decision here. And if, hey, by the way, the Texans just went on a 12-play, 94-yard drive for a score.
Wow.
If you're the Giants and you don't make the playoffs this year, you have a huge decision to make. Because if they don't make the playoffs, it's obvious that Eli in this scheme with the way the team's built can't do it.
Yeah.
They have no excuse. They have a top 3 defense. You have Odell Beckham, you have Sterling Shepard, and you have a washed Brandon Marshall. Brandon Marshall's washed.
Yeah.
The Giants have a huge decision to make here. Do they move on from Eli? There's a guy named Tom Coughlin who's in the Jaguars front office who they're going to give up on Bortles soon. They already did. Bortles would be their quarterback if they had a backup.
They tried to, yeah.
Make a deal with Jacksonville. That you give them Eli, you get a first-round pick or two. And then if Eli is your guy and you're the Giants, you have to do every possible thing to get some tackles, to get some guards, and to pick a running back high in the draft.
Yeah.
The way to protect a QB who can't do it himself is with a good run game and a good offensive line.
Exactly. It's not with Paul Perkins, Shane Vereen, and Orleans Darkwa.
Disgusting. Eli hasn't had a run game since Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw.
And, dude, I honestly, they were both still very average running backs. They were good at what they did, but neither of them were dynamic backs. Yeah, exactly.
That's a good segue, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
To Kirk Cousins. Yeah.
Oh, damn it. I was hoping we could avoid Kirk.
I see I like Kirk because I feel like I see Romo in him a little bit.
Yep.
Like I just get that vibes. I fell in love with Romo because since day one everybody said he was shit. People called him a choke artist. Mm-hmm. People called him awful. And I spent my entire life protecting the guy, defending the guy with everything I've had. I've got so many stats memorized, it's ridiculous. And I see some of that in Kirk. My only questions about Kirk are comparing him to Romo. Romo was a student of the game. And that's very evident by seeing him call that game on Sunday.
Oh, my gosh. How annoying was it to have him call out every single play like 5 seconds before the snap?
I
it was great.
Enjoyed it.
It was great if you're a Romo guy. I do wish that he had some more color feel and like actually explained why he.
Did you watch the game?
I did.
Or did you watch the clips?
No. I did watch the game. I DVR'd it.
Okay.
And I watched the whole thing.
You definitely didn't. Go ahead.
No. I mean, there were certain parts that I really enjoyed with him diagnosing why he could pick out the play design completely. But there were a couple that just made me laugh because literally, like 5 seconds before the snap, he's just like, "Oh, no, there's a run to the left," and he would never.
And then Nance asked him, and he was like, "Well, I played quarterback for 14 years in the NFL."
Yeah, and that was the explanation.
That's fine. I found him incredibly funny.
No,
I was like, "Wow, he's young. He knows the modern game of football that we play now," and I think he's definitely going to work on that, elaborating on why.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was the best was he was listening to Derek Carr's language at the line, and he was like, "Yep, he audibled it right, and now he just brought it back to the left." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I wish I could see it that way."
Yeah, for students of the game, the guys who watch NFL game film every Monday morning after the team wins or loses and they break down the film themselves. It's like porn for those guys. I mean,
yeah,
it is incredible. But
it's more than just watching film. Romo would go back and watch. He just watches film on other quarterbacks that were good.
Yeah,
Romo was huge on the art of the throwing motion. Mm-hmm. He studied throwing motions his entire career, and he said that people used to say he was the last one on, first one off, or the last one off, first one on. And he was like, that's not the way I looked at it. He said, I would go watch a throwing motion and just spent as much time as I needed out there to make sure that the ball came out of my hand perfectly and that everything was just in perfect sync. So he wasn't thinking about, I need to put in the work here. He was saying in his head, he was being a perfectionist, meaning I'm not going to leave here until I feel that ball come completely perfect out of my hand.
Yeah.
that's what you need in your quarterback. Your quarterback has to love the game of football.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco doesn't love the game of football anymore.
Right. And
Ben Roethlisberger doesn't love the game of football anymore.
Right. And bring this back full circle to where we started this with Kirk Cousins. He definitely is a guy who, at least last year, I know he was still. I mean, the dude has his week, like his schedule week by week broken down with everything planned out hour by hour, and most of that is film study during the week. I mean, he is a true student of the game. He does so much research on every single DB, safety, linebacker, DN, D tackle that he's going to face. He knows exactly what he's going up against, and that's kind of what scares me when he comes out and just lays an egg like he did last week, because I know that mentally he was prepared for that game. He had plenty of time. He knew what he was going to go up against, and the Eagles didn't throw out anything crazy defensively against him. They didn't run any crazy schemes. They didn't run any crazy disguised coverages. I mean, they ran some creative blitz packages, which that's a whole nother conversation. Is Kirk, when he picks up a blitz versus when he's under pressure, the stats there are that talk about splits. Those are crazy splits. But that's what concerns me is he had time on a lot of throws and he was just inaccurate. And I don't know whether to overreact to that or underreact to that. I don't know whether to say, you know what, it's just one bad game. Quarterbacks have bad games, or whether to say, yikes, maybe all of this exterior pressure is actually getting to him.
Yeah, I'll throw in another quick comment before we get to DFS. To bring it completely full circle, we were talking about offensive lines and running game.
Yep.
I think that Kirk needs three things. I didn't see the offensive line this week. I think number one, he needs to feel that the front office and that the team is behind him. I don't think he feels that.
No, I'd say that's very.
You can make.
Yeah, I'd say if you were looking to check a box there, it's it's like one line through it, not the X that he's looking for. I mean, I think he's got the team behind him. Front office, not so sure.
Yeah, I mean, Kirk seems like the kind of guy that is a little touchy-feely, and his confidence has been knocked. He's lost his confidence and just shit the bed.
Yep.
He needs to be confident, and the best way to be confident in him is to give him a deal and tell him he's the guy for the future, not these one-year stupid deals.
Yeah.
Kirk wants to feel loved by his front office. Number two, Kirk Cousins needs an elite running back behind him.
He does. 100%.
We saw this with Romo. The Cowboys asked Romo to carry the team from 2007 to 2013 all by himself. The defense was one of the worst in NFL history outside of the 2007 and 2009 years. The run game was non-existent outside of Marion Barber.
Wow, that's a name I have not heard in a long time. That's a throwback.
And then Tony finally said when he re-signed with the Cowboys for that big deal that he never got to finish, unfortunately. He said, I'm going to sign this, but you have to build me an offensive line. The Cowboys went out and started investing in the offensive line. I know the Redskins have too. Trent Williams and Brandon Sheriff.
Yep, Morgan Moses
at right tackle. And then they had DeMarco Murray, and then they invested in Zeke Elliott. And Romo last year, I hate to say it, and I know it sounds cocky, but we would have won that game in Green Bay with Romo. I don't think there's any doubt. The thing that cost us that game was the offense starting like shit in the first half. Romo was in the peak of his career. We were 16-2 with him when he was healthy those last couple of years. Because he just mastered the art of reading defenses. There's no way we lost that game. But it goes to show what the run game and offensive line can do to your quarterback. Yep. Take it off him. Take it off his back. Everything was on Romo's back. He'd throw a pick when he had to do everything. He wasn't a choker, by the way, but he'd throw a pick. Something would happen.
Except for that one throw that he got picked off week 16 against the Redskins at FedEx Field.
Yeah,
he choked. He choked.
And then we could talk about the next year when I was at the game and he won the game with a herniated disc in his back.
No. We don't need to talk about that one.
Yeah, I know. Well,
it's DC Sports Daily.
It's football. Shit happens. But take the weight off Kirk. Give him a running